Hi guys, it's Nancy Lynn, and we're here today with the hashtag Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, Volume 2, Prompt 3, and this one was the Christmas tree, and this is my red set. I've previously shown you my green, which I've done videos on, and this is my green one. And let me see if I can pull out just a little bit. There we go. And I did embroider the O Tannenbaum up there. We've gotten all the decorations on it, and I added the little tree skirt down here, and I kind of weaved the little trunk of the tree. I have not worked on anything else yet. I've been thinking about different things, but I'm not sure, so I will post a picture when I get furthermore on that one. Now this one is the red one, and this was the same stencil that I had drawn the other day on the other for the green. So it's a good size. It's 3.5 by 5, I think is what it is. But I want to do something different with this one. This one I want to be more three-dimensional, and I've been scanning a lot of videos, and I came up with what I think I'm gonna do. And I thought I wanted to do bullion knots, but the thought of doing all of those bullion knots, just I'm not that good at them to do that. Like, I probably would be really good at them by the time I finished all of them, but I thought I was gonna try something else, and I found someone that did turkey work, and that seemed like it worked. Now I have only done I think on my sampler a little bit of turkey work, but to make like a clover flower. But so this will be an experience for me, and I figured I'd take you guys along on the way. What I did notice, and I will put her linked on it, it's called Why Not Stitches is her site where she had this. And what she did was she had a little diagram. I don't know her exact measurements or anything on there. She does sell a little pattern, so if you're interested in it, you could maybe go see her, and I will put a link. She also has a YouTube video on this, which is excellent. Right, so we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and let me move this before I'm marking on it. And this I'm going to come down to the middle. It's really thick. So what I'm gonna do is I'll mark the midpoint 3.5. That's like, that doesn't look like 1 3/4. Right about there. Then I'm coming up a little bit and making 2 more lines. Come up a little bit more and do 2 lines. And like I said, these are not exact at all. I'm guesstimating. Come up a little bit more. And we've got a top point. Okay, so now we've got our marks. The thing is taking these and putting these marks on here, they may or may not show. So what I'm going to do, it's a little more work, but it'll be a lot more secure. This is called Golden Papers. It's under quilting supplies. It's a heavier than a tissue type paper. It's but I'm gonna trace my shape. Hold on. There's no use working with that whole thing. And I probably should get rid of my mat. What I'll do is put this behind it so I'm not getting ink on my mat. Let's make sure we're in here. So and I'm just going to trace my lines. And I did the same technique with the lettering for one of these, but I used a clear plastic instead. This time I'm using this paper, only because this I do not have to put water on it or melt it away. Alright, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, let's get rid of my other two pieces, of my underneath pieces. I'm going to figure out where I want this. Now what I'm picturing, let me get to the bulk of that. Now there's a whole nother piece I can use for tracing. What I'm thinking of, I want something here, and I don't know if I'm going to put like a Santa, maybe trying to sneak some gifts under the tree, something along that line. So I'm thinking if I line up my tree somewhere around here, and I put my stem, I can put a little tree stand, and the presents will have to be very small. So I'm just toying with this, but I know this is my tree. I think I want it on this side because I like that line right there. And if I move that right across the middle of those flowers, then I can have that and my tree stand, and I'll give it kind of like a ground. There she goes. And I think now I like it in the middle. Okay, so now I'm going to pin this on there. Now you could use a glue stick and glue this on there, but with handwork I just don't like the glue underneath. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to baste all the way around and across on these lines, do some basting stitches. That way I can tear this off. I've got my markings, they're there, so they're not going to move, or because if I use chalk a lot of times will shift off on you. I've got a white pencil, but that kind of shifts sometimes too. This way, if I do the stitching, it will be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch this, and then I'll be back, so you don't have to sit here and watch me stitch it. Okay, I figured I might want to show you guys what I'm doing, because some of you guys may be brand new to this and maybe like, just going to stitch through the paper. All I'm doing is stitching the paper, and that way you can see how easy it is to actually needle through it. And I'm doing basically just, I'm doing a running stitch just to I had to check and make sure it was recording. And that's all I'm doing is a running stitch, but you can see how easy it is to needle through this. Now I think this paper, I got it to do machine quilting with, you know, to draw your pattern and then you put it on your fabric and stuff. But what I found was with the machine quilting, sorry if that crinkling drives you crazy, I like the sound. With the machine, using this on the machine, it's a fairly sturdy paper, and trying to get it out afterwards, I almost had to wash it to get it out. And other people, and it may be due to the density of the stitching I was doing, you know, I just really couldn't get it out of the fabric easily. So that's why I have this whole roll of this stuff, because it didn't, for me. Now for other people, they say they love it, but I just it wasn't what I wanted. I ended up liking the wash away better. But for hand stitching, your stitching is not as dense, so it does seem to work well with it. And I'll look it up and find the name. I'll post the name of the lady that had this turkey work technique. Maybe if you're a newbie or not just looking at handwork and stuff, and you might be saying, why do people go through all this work? I've had a friend or two say that to me, and I had a lady yesterday that left a comment, and she said she must have been brought in from something else, and she said she didn't understand what I was doing. And I knew it was probably, what are we doing this for? And but we do it because we love it. I just love hand stitching. I don't think there's, you know, I do machine stitching, quilting, but I still go back. Even with the quilting I've done for the last 3 years, one hand quilted quilt a year. And even if it's not fully hand done, now in the quilters world, they call it big stitching, what I do. And that's, let's see, I can see if I can get it where you can see it. And you can see that's about how big my stitches are, and because you get a rhythm, and I think everybody kind of gets their own rhythm and their own size stitches, and so, but it makes me happy. I had put a handmade quilt in, and it didn't block exactly perfectly when it was all done, but I was so happy with it because it was all hand done. Everything was pieced, hand applique. It was needle turn applique. It was so pretty. And when I put it in the quilt show, and this lady walked by, and I just happened to be there when she came by, and she was telling her friend, she said, "Oh, look how wonky it is on this side." Well, it was off on one side, but that's a handmade, and her other friend happened to be talking with me. I think she was probably mortified that that lady was making a bad comment about it. But I laughed at her and I said, yeah, it is wonky on that side. And I said, but you know what? I said, that was my very first totally handmade quilt. I said, it's and to me, I love it. You know, I said, but I have the feeling for it I do because I did it. So, and somebody else may come along and just say, ooh, why are you doing that? It's kind of crazy. But I'll have to put a picture of it in there. It's a pretty quilt. It was a Esther Alou pattern, and this lady makes the most beautiful quilting patterns. And a lot of it is, she's now starting to incorporate embroidery into her stuff, and it's just really, really pretty. And I've been saying I need to get together all my pictures, and one day I will put my quilts on here. There's some out there, but I need to make a compilation and have them all put together. I'll maybe try and do that tonight of the pictures that I do have. Some of them I don't even have pictures of. So, but anyway, so now you see that's what I'm doing. I'm going through and I will sew each line, and so then when I tear this off, I will have everything on here. And you can see I've already gotten all the way around. I've gotten through one of these. My next few lines are small, so it's only going to take me maybe another 5 or 10 minutes. And then I'll have a perfect pattern to go by. So it'll keep me in the lines, because I know me, I'd go off too far to the right or too far to the left if I didn't have guidelines. So, alright, I hope this helps. I am going to be using, I'm going to try yarn. I got this big bag online of all different little skeins, but I have to bring them to my husband and say, is this blue, is this green, because I still can't see colors. So he said both of these are green. Good thing he can still see colors. He's so good about that. Just he doesn't say I ain't got time to do that or none of that. He just stops what he's doing and he'll look and he'll go, no, that one's blue. Like, okay, honey, thank you. So it's a team project here. All right, I will be back when I get all this through, and I will tear this off after I finish doing all the lines on it, and I'll show you the next step. Okay guys, I'm back. I hope you can see the stitching. I did it in a lighter color. You maybe could do it in a darker color. I guess I just didn't want to have to take the stitches out afterwards. I guess that's a little bit of laziness, but I didn't know how well I'd find them, and I didn't want them poking through or showing. So this is not how she showed to do it, but in order to keep my loops the same length, I cut a piece of paper to the length that I thought maybe I would want it. There. And I figured that would keep me from going through, and I'm trying to keep this in focus for you guys, but at the same time and then I'm going back up and back through one of those other stitches. Now the needle I'm using is a needle point needle. These were some my mom had. They were $1.39 a pack. Boy, that's back when. And these are Dritz needlepoint needles, number 18. And It says to use with a 10-point mesh canvas, but they have a really nice pointed edge. I'm gonna have to look. I don't even know if they make them anymore, but it does have a nice pointed edge on them. It had been years since I had done a lot of any needlepoint or any of that. So, but all you're doing is going around and then fastening that stitch off by doing another stitch on the very top line. And you don't want this one to go around. Something I did wrong. Yup. I don't know what I did. That's what I get for talking and chewing bubble gum at the same time. This is probably gonna... There we go. Alright, and all I'm doing is trying to keep this straight on the sewed line that I did. You can see that. And I'm coming up right next to that, pulling it through, wrapping it around my measurer. Now, if this doesn't seem like it'll work for you, watch the lady at Why Not Stitches. She did one of these and she measured it each time. But I just thought if I could make a piece that was that length, that size that I wanted, then it would be even. If I just sat here and measured it and then pulled it, I'm afraid I would have 90 different sizes. But after every one, she did went back and did another stitch over the top. I guess it's a locking stitch. Maybe somebody out there could tell me. I don't know. Like I said, there are so many more people. This is like my first time trying this, so I've never used a turkey work stitch like this, so and so far it's needling pretty easily. Now, I would say 9 times out of 10, I always work with the batting behind it to save it from pulling up too tight. But I didn't know how this would needle through the yarn, the batting. And all of that. I hope you can see. And I'm not moving this around too much. But the yarn, I wasn't sure if I was gonna have to go with embroidery, but the yarn seems to be working really well. It's a real thin yarn, it's not a heavy yarn, but that way these are all nice and even. And then I'll do another row and another row, and I'll keep doing this with the same procedure all the way up. It's just, you know, get your, my thread is under there. I didn't tie a knot. I kept my thread under there, brought my stitches over, and that's what you're seeing on the back and then on the front. Now my decision at the end when I get all these done is going to be whether I'm going to cut these and make it kind of frilly, or if I'm just going to leave them loopy. So, but I can just see that as a tree. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. I still don't know. I may end up making another one, but I wanted to try this to see how it worked. And happy stitching, you guys, and I'll be back when I have more done. Bye.